In the beginning of the film, we see a man, Jim, and his wife's posters, from which we come to know that they both used to do very good business. Let's say that he was very famous because of his business. Jim, who is busy with his client, then gets a call from his wife who was telling Jim to come home early tonight because today was their wedding anniversary, but Jim forgets about work and is late. His wife was waiting for him at home and was also very angry. When Jim comes home, he has brought a cute teddy for his wife, but her anger is not over yet. She tells Jim that you always do this. Today and tomorrow you are not even giving your child the right time. Everything does not work, Jim. They had 2 children. Jim listens to all this and says, "Okay, what is there to worry about? Tomorrow we all go on a holiday together. We will have a lot of fun." Hearing this, Jim's wife becomes happy. Now Jim goes to tell all this to his son. He tells his son that he is going out tomorrow. He sees his son coming out of the room screaming. Actually, Jim's son was very scared of spiders. Jim goes to his son's room and tells him to kill the spider. He also tells his son that you have grown up. You should now face your fear. That's why Jim's daughter comes from behind and kills the spider, and she also teases her brother a lot that you are so cowardly. There was a call from a man to Jim's wife who wanted to sell his mansion, which was a very big palace. As we know, Jim and his wife had a very big business. He was telling Jim's wife to come and see his mansion tomorrow, but Jim's wife refused him by saying that tomorrow she was going on a holiday with her family. Then Jim comes and stops his wife and says, "Don't say that, because the mansion was in a very good place. After selling it, they were going to get a lot of money later." Jim tells his wife that tomorrow we will see the mansion while going this way, we will have 2 jobs easily. The next morning, Jim went to see the mansion with his entire family, but when he saw the gate of the mansion closed, he started going back. But suddenly the gate of the mansion opened by itself. Seeing this, Jim and his wife felt a little weird, but they went inside without caring about it. Jim sees a graveyard inside the mansion, which everyone is scared of. Suddenly it starts raining heavily. Because of the rain, everyone came and stood near the gate of the mansion. When Jim knocks on the gate of the mansion, the gate opens by itself. Jim and his wife were feeling very good inside the mansion, but their children did not like it at all. Then a servant comes from the front, whose name was Ramsley. When Jim tries to shake hands with him, he says, "The owner of the mansion is waiting for you to eat." But Jim's wife refuses him by saying that we have to go somewhere else. But Jim stops his wife and says, "No problem, we will go a little late." Now they all go to the dining table, which was decorated very beautifully. There was also the owner of this mansion, whose name is Gracie. He also does not talk to Jim. His attention was only on Jim's wife. Gracie was talking a lot to Jim's wife while eating, which Jim did not like. At the same time, 2 more servants of this mansion come who have brought food for them. Then that servant, Ramsley, stands near the window and tells them that a very big storm is going to come tonight. All of you should stay here. Gracie was also saying to Jim's wife, "There's a lot of danger tonight. You stay here." After this, Ramsley shows everyone his room. After coming into the room, Jim's wife was very angry with him. She said that today we were going to go on vacation with our family. Because of you, we got stuck here. I was going to refuse this mansion. Saying this, she goes to the bathroom. After which Ramsley came to her room and told Jim that our master wanted to talk to you. He was waiting for you in the library. That's why he brought Jim to the library with him, but his master was not there. Ramsley holds a glass of wine and tells Jim, "Do this. You wait for our master here. I have some work and I'm going from here." Saying this, he left. As soon as he leaves, the glass falls from Jim's statue lying on the table. The statue also fell down. Because of its fall, a secret door opens there. Jim goes near that door and goes inside that place. On the other hand, Jim's children also came out. They got a box while playing, and when they opened it, a blue magic ball was going ahead in the wind. There, Jim's wife also comes out of the room looking for Jim. She asks the maid working there, "Have you seen my husband?" When she sees the face of Jim's wife, she doesn't know what happened. The maid runs away in fear. That's why Ramsley came in front of Jim's wife. She asks him again, "Have you seen my husband?" He says yes, he is in the library. Jim's wife goes to the library, so Gracie was sitting there, who says, "I also called your husband here to meet, but he has not come yet." "Come on, why not? Until he comes, I will show you all this mansion." Jim's wife can't refuse Gracie, and she goes to the mansion with him. Where Jim's wife asks Gracie why this house is so empty, he says that since it is empty since my fiancée gave her life, I loved her very much. We were about to get married, and she took her life on the wedding day. Saying this, he tells Jim's wife to dance with him, but Jim's wife refuses him. Then ghosts came all around him. Those who dance, Jim's wife is very scared. Gracie says, "Don't you remember anything yet?" Gracie was repeatedly calling Jim's wife by the name of his fiancée, and why was it? We will find out in the story, but Jim's wife was not understanding anything, which is why she ran away from there in fear. There was Jim, who was inside the secret door. There is darkness all around. He takes out a match from his pocket, he lights the candles there and starts looking around at all the statues there. We're staring at Jim, but Jim's attention did not go towards them. Then he hears the voice of a lady there. Jim followed that voice and reached a door. When he goes inside, he meets a magician who is trapped in a crystal ball. She blows Jim into the air. Jim is very scared and runs away from there. On the other hand, Jim's children follow that magic ball and reach the storeroom, where they see a very big picture of Gracie's fiancée. She was just like his mom. That means Jim's wife, she looked exactly like Gracie's fiancée. Then Gracie also told him, "Do you remember anything?" Now the servants of the mansion come there, who gives cookies to Jim's children and tells them to leave from here. Now Jim's children ask the servants about that lady whose picture they had seen, which was of Gracie's fiancé. Then Ramsley comes there. The servants hide both the children from him. When Ramsley asks about Jim's children, the servants lie and say they did not see them. Here, Jim also ran away and reached his children. His children also show him that picture. Jim thinks this is exactly like his wife. Jim felt that something was wrong here. Then the servants tell him all the people here are ghosts, and we too are imprisoned here for some reason. Hearing this, Jim was scared. He did not understand what to do. These people were trapped in this mansion. Then the servant tells you that a magician can tell you how to get out of here. This servant was talking about that magician who was imprisoned in a crystal ball, from which Jim ran away. All this now goes to that magician, who asks about that picture lady. She says that Gracie was about to get married to that girl, but a day before the wedding she ate poison and killed herself. Why did she do this? There is still a secret, but Gracie did not tolerate this shock, and she also committed suicide. This means that Gracie was also among the dead. Gracie's soul was still talking to him. The magician tells you that Gracie told your wife to come alone. That is, the call that came that day was from Gracie. As a result, you and your children also came here. Now that Gracie sees his fiancée and your wife, he will marry her. And now, at any cost, he will not let your wife go from here. Jim asks that magician, "How can I save my wife? There must be some way." The magician says that if you want to save your wife, you have to open the secret of Gracie's fiancé's death. How did she die? Which is trapped in a box whose keys are in a graveyard. In a grave, you have to go and get the key from there. With which your help these two servants will also do now. Those servants took Jim and his children in a ghost buggy and took them to the graveyard, where they saw many more souls. Anyway, these three reached the graveyard, but Jim's son refused to go inside because he was scared. So Jim leaves his son outside. He goes inside the graveyard with his daughter, where he finds a grave. When he opens it, he sees a pillar. He had a key in his hand. As soon as he takes the key in his hand, all the dead bodies are there. Everyone wakes up. Now Jim and his daughter have fallen behind. Somehow Jim took his daughter to the door. But then the door to the graveyard closes. Now when Jim tells his son to open the door, so many spiders came in front of him, from whom he was scared. Jim tells his son face the fear. Hearing this, Jim's son opens the door. Now all of them had come to the magician with the key, so now the magician tells them the address of that box. When Jim goes to him and opens it, he gets a letter written by Gracie's fiancé, which he had written a day before his wedding, in which it was written, "I love Gracie very much, and tomorrow we are going to get married." After reading that letter, he came to know that Gracie's fiancé had not killed himself because she was very happy about her marriage. That's when Ramsley comes there. Seeing that the souls of both the servants have disappeared and are still supporting Jim, Ramsley says to Jim, "I never thought you would reach here." Now Jim shows him the letter written by Gracie's fiancé and asks, "What does it mean? What is the truth now?" Ramsley says, "I killed her because our master was going to leave everything for her. That girl was not good for our master. That's why a day before the wedding I poisoned her and killed her." Jim says, "Whatever it was, now let me and my wife and children go. Not so easily tonight. I'm going to get my master married to your wife, after which Gracie will kill your wife and take her soul with her." Hearing all this, she was a soul. That's why she disappeared. After which, she locked Jim's children in a chest and threw Jim out of the mansion. That's when Jim's wife came to the room looking for her children, and Jim, where Ramsley was already present, showed Jim's wife his children through magic. He said, "If you do not marry Gracie tonight, then your children can be in great trouble." Jim's wife had no other way. That's why she wants to save her children. She agrees to marry outside. Jim was trying to enter the mansion but could not come. He tried everything, but every door was closed by the magic of Ramsley. Jim sits and cries and regrets that if he had never come here with his wife and children, he would never have come here. Then he has a magician in a crystal ball who encourages him and says, "You have to save your wife and children." Hearing this, Jim sits in his car and breaks into the mansion and comes inside. First of all, he fights against Ramsley's men. Then he saves his children. On the other side, Ramsley was getting married to Gracie, Jim's wife. That's when Jim takes his children and reaches there. Seeing them, Jim's wife was very happy, and she ran and hugged Jim. Gracie is very angry about this. He was going to attack Jim with a sword. That's when Jim shows Gracie the letter written by his fiancé and says that your fiancé did not kill herself. In fact, she was killed by your special servant Ramsley. Hearing this, Gracie was surprised. Now he asks Ramsley about all this, so he says, "If you had listened to me at that time, then I would not have killed her. I also said that girl is not worth you, but now it's enough. I will kill everyone here." Ramsley had called all the bad souls there, but suddenly a very big fireball came towards Ramsley and took him to hell. But Ramsley was going. He also took Jim with him. Jim was also about to fall into the raging fire, but Gracie saved him. But as soon as Jim came out, his wife was unconscious. Then that blue magical ball went inside Jim's wife. That blue magical ball was none other than Gracie's fiancé's soul, which Ramsley had imprisoned, and after freeing Jim's children, she was the one who was helping them. Now as soon as Gracie's fiancé's soul went inside Jim's wife, she started flying in the air, and then she came in front of everyone. Then she also told Gracie about her love, saying that she loved her very much and never wanted to leave her. Then Ramsley killed her and separated the two. Her truth had come out. Otherwise her soul would never have been free. Gracie had given Jim the papers of the mansion, and after being free with his fiancée, he went to heaven forever, after which the souls of all those people imprisoned in the mansion were also freed. Because of Jim and his children, and with this, the story of this film ends here.